number 10, Jussie Smollett. Former Empire star Jussie Smollett made headlines a little while back after faking an attack for attention. Jussie made a claim that he was attacked by a group of people as a hate crime, but after further investigation, it was discovered that the entire altercation was made up by the actor. As a result of the scandal that followed, Jussie was let go from Empire and has been hard-pressed to find work elsewhere. The reason why he made up this altercation was an attempt to get a pay raise from the producers of the show, as he was not happy with the salary that he was already making. Now, Hollywood executives know him as someone who will do some shady things to get what he wants, including filing a false police report and faking an assault just to get people to get him more attention. After the incident, Jussie started losing a lot of work and his career hasn't really picked up much since, with some sources saying that he might be blacklisted. At this rate, 2022 might be as challenging as 2021 was for the actor, and Hollywood might not have a place for him in the coming year. At number 9, Johnny Depp. Actor Johnny Depp has really been going through it lately. He went through a high-profile legal case and a lot of information was exposed, but even after the legal battle against the Sun publication was over, he started losing work. First, he was asked to step down from his role as Grindelwald in the upcoming Fantastic Beasts film, and fans found out that he had been blacklisted from Disney as well because of the scandal that is still ongoing with Amber Heard. Now, even though many people are siding with and trying to defend Johnny, it doesn't seem to be making much effect in Hollywood. Fortunately, because of Johnny's image in the media at the moment, it doesn't look like he's going to book many roles in 2022. On top of that, he's still dealing with a lot of legal cases with Amber right now, so acting might not be his top priority at the moment. We might not see much from Johnny in 2022, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Before we carry on talking about some celebrities who might not find work next year, why not take some time to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel as well to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne is no stranger to having a bad reputation in Hollywood. She's been facing backlash since she was a Disney star, and things have just escalated from there. Because she's viewed by many as problematic, Hollywood may be hesitant to hire her for upcoming projects because of how people view her. Just in the last little while, Bella has been in the news for a number of scandals. Last summer, Bella faced backlash for her OnlyFans scam, where she scammed her fans into paying upwards of $200 for content that they weren't happy with, and even prompted a company policy change that affected other creators on the platform. She was also involved in some Twitter beef with her ex Tana Mojo because she released a diss track about her. And not too long ago, Bella also faced even more backlash as she publicly defended Armie Hammer and the leaked DMs that exposed his bedroom fantasies. Bella just has a way of rubbing people the wrong way, and since she's faced so much backlash just in the last year alone, I feel like Hollywood is gonna pass on her for a little while, so she might not book much in 2022. At number 7, Hartley Sawyer. Hartley Sawyer is one actor who might never come back to Hollywood after he got exposed for his incredibly offensive tweets back in 2020. Hartley, who's best known for having played Ralph Dibny, aka the elongated man on the CW's The Flash, faced a heck of a lot of backlash when many of his past tweets were brought to light. These tweets, which span as far back as 2009, highlight Hartley's offensive attempt at humor, many of them including racist, sexist, homophobic, and even violent messages. These tweets were brought to light during the Black Lives Matter movement that saw a big jump in support last summer, and as fans dug deep into many celebrities' lives, this was one of the biggest stories of celebrity exposure to come out during that time. As a result of these offensive tweets, Hartley was fired from his role on The Flash and hasn't been seen on social media since issuing an apology for his actions. Because of the reputation he now has for being offensive, combined with the fact that he's been out of Hollywood for so long, I have a feeling that Hartley won't be back in the spotlight for a long time, so 2022 might not be his year to return. At number 6, Stacey Dash. Known for her role as Dion in the 90s film Clueless, Stacey Dash rose to fame in the 90s, but since then she's hit rock bottom and is no longer welcome in the entertainment industry. Nowadays, the actress is known for being quite outspoken when it comes to her political views, and this is what led Hollywood to lock her out, so to speak, and she hasn't been in the acting world for years. Speaking out about her take on women's rights, Black History Month, segregation, and the quote-unquote bathroom bill, the actress has proven herself to be too much for even the likes of Fox News, for which she used to be a part of. Stacey would often come on air on Fox News to talk about whatever issues were being discussed, but in a turn of events, Fox News let her go after having gone too far with her words, especially in reference to the abolishment of Black History Month. Some people have said that her extreme beliefs are what stopped Stacey from receiving any roles, and she's even said that she was dropped by her agent for being too problematic. Her views on gay and trans rights, as well as her opinion on race in Hollywood, have ultimately ended her career as an actress, so she definitely won't be welcomed back to Hollywood in 2022. At number 5, Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is someone who is notoriously hated in Hollywood for quite a number of reasons. He's no longer considered for any any Hollywood roles and hasn't been for a while, and he only seems to make an entrance into the industry when directing his own films since other studios don't want to work with him. He's been the subject of a number of controversies, from that of the Passion of the Christ for being anti-Semitic to career-damaging freakouts, driving under the influence, and a number of people coming forward to discuss Mel's racist and anti-Semitic views. Though he continues to be cancelled in Hollywood, he attempts to make a return every so often, but again, only through his own work. He's been facing controversy for decades and no one has really forgiven him, so he remains banned from Hollywood and essentially banned from all other media networks. As the new year approaches, I'm sure we can all agree that Mel won't be booking anything in 2022. At number 4, James Franco. James Franco has slowly been losing respect in Hollywood to the point where he's losing work and connections in the industry. Things started to go downhill for the actor back in 2014 when he got into a scandal after he tried sliding into a fan's DMs only to find out that she was actually 17 years old. James met a girl visiting New York City at an autograph signing outside of his Broadway show, and the two took pictures together and she tagged him, which obviously led to him finding her Instagram and DMing her. The two talked for a bit, and after their conversation continued, James asked for her number, her age, her relationship status, and whether or not he should have booked a hotel room for the both of them. Luckily, nothing ever ended up happening between them, but the fan ended up exposing their conversation online and James faced mild backlash. After that, people got a very different impression of the actor, and a lot of people started refusing to work with him as well. Because of his public image, he might not be seen in many productions in the new year. At number 3, Katherine Heigl. A lot of people don't like working with Katherine Heigl because of how rude she is. She's been known to be mean to people on set, have high demands, and just have a really bad attitude. She's known to be quite critical of the roles and material she's given, and she even brought this up when she withdrew from the Emmy nominations because she said that the material she was given for Grey's Anatomy didn't warrant an Emmy. That's certainly disrespectful to the writers, because for someone to say something like that implies that the writing wasn't good enough to please people, whereas the people at the Emmys thought it was worth the award. Katherine is also known to make ridiculously high salary demands, and apparently she's been doing this since before she became a big name in the industry. She's reportedly hired and fired a lot of publicists and assistants over the years, so she really sounds like quite the diva. Because of all this, directors and Hollywood execs don't want to work with her anymore because she's a nightmare to work with. People say that she's been blacklisted from Hollywood, so the chances of her booking anything substantial in 2022 are pretty slim. At number 2, Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner has been having a rough time in Hollywood lately. He's pretty much disappeared from the media, and many think that the actor has been blacklisted from Hollywood because no one wants to hire him. Since finishing up his time in the Twilight Saga, Taylor hasn't really seen much success. After the franchise ended, Taylor went looking for work, and at first people were ready to offer him some good Hollywood parts. He was still a big name in the industry after he got so much fame from playing his character Jacob Black in the Twilight movies, but soon Hollywood executives realized that he's just not the powerhouse that they were expecting. The first few movies that he starred in tanked at the box office, and between this and his high asking salary, no one was keen on taking a chance on the actor. In the years since, he's appeared on some TV shows like Scream Queens, but other than that, we haven't really heard much from him. He recently got engaged, so maybe he's just focusing on living a simple life for now, so maybe we won't see him come back to Hollywood in 2022. And finally, at number 1, Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry made headlines this year after their interview with Oprah back in January. Since then, they've been in and out of the news, and a lot of people have wondered if Meghan will make her return to acting after leaving the royal family. She's already narrated a documentary about elephants that's on Disney+, but can we expect more from Meg? Well, the answer is maybe. Things might still be a little touchy with the actress and Hollywood because of all the drama surrounding her and the royal family, so we might not see much from her in Hollywood in 2022, but maybe sometime soon we will watch Meghan return to the spotlight once again. At number 10, Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer made headlines early this year as some DMs were leaked on social media which showed Armie talking about his bedroom fantasies. Some of the things discussed in the messages were Armie's desire to eat someone, and some people, like ex-partners, have come forward with their personal accounts of Armie's fantasies. Because of this bombshell story, Armie has spent the last year losing work and watching his career fall to pieces. When the scandal first broke, he backed out of an upcoming film project alongside Jennifer Lopez in hopes to save his career, and he also dropped out of a series he was cast for Paramount+. Now he's out of work, and he won't be finding any more anytime soon, as he's also been dropped by his agent and his personal publicist. Hollywood will definitely not be casting Army in any upcoming productions unless he is able to rebuild his image after the scandal, and even then, it'll take a lot of work to get back in Hollywood's good graces. At number 9, James Corden. This year, people learned that they not so secretly hate James Corden. The amount of times I saw James Corden trending on Twitter for people just talking about how much they hate him kind of says a lot about the actor and his place in Hollywood. The actor and late night host got in a lot of scandals this year, as I mentioned in one of our other videos, so another one in 2022 is probably a guarantee at this point, and that just means trouble for James's career. So far, James has faced backlash for his undermining of his employees at his late night show. He's faced backlash for the Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts segment, as well as he's been known to use traditional Asian foods as part of the gross foods category. On top of that, he's faced a lot of scrutiny for his Golden Globes nomination for his role in the movie Prom, where he played a gay character, because people thought that he used too many gay stereotypes in his performance. On top of that, a number of people who have worked with him or have had encounters with the host have made a lot of negative comments. About him, making him look like a pretty bad guy. The more bad press, the less people want to work with him, and because some fans have literally started making petitions to keep James out of certain big Hollywood productions, the executives might have to start listening to the fans and not hire James Corden. Before we carry on talking about the people Hollywood might not want to work with next year, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Gina Carano. Up next, we have another celebrity who has faced a lot of backlash this year for old Twitter posts. Known for her role on the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, actress Gina Carano began to face massive backlash for her social media posts that exposed her ideals and opinions that some people took offense to. Though there were a few posts that garnered a lot of negative attention, such as her comments on putting your pronouns in your social media bio, the one that was seemingly the last straw for her Disney career was a post that compared being a Republican to being a victim of the horrors of World War II, saying that Republicans are being persecuted because of their political beliefs. A lot of people took offense to this and led to more backlash and to her getting exposed for her unpopular opinions. Other posts that caused Gina to face scrutiny include her tweets about voter fraud in the US, as well as posts mocking people who wear masks amidst the pandemic. According to a source, the people behind the Mandalorian series had been looking for a reason to fire Gina because of her controversial social media presence, and so this exposure was allegedly the catalyst that led to them firing Gina from her role. Because of the nature of this scandal and the offensive things that were said, Gina might find it hard to find work in the new year if people still haven't forgiven or forgotten about her latest scandal. At number 7, Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake started facing a lot of backlash this year, with fans of Britney Spears flooding his social media pages and demanding that he apologize after the way he treated her in the media after their breakup in the early 2000s. The Framing Britney Spears documentary that was released looked into the way that the pop star was shown in the media, from the paparazzi to interviews, and it dives deep into how this stardom affected her. A big part of the documentary explores Justin Timberlake's role in the media's mistreatment of Britney after their public breakup in 2002. After their relationship ended, Justin made Britney look like the villain in the relationship, accusing her of cheating and essentially weaponizing their breakup to boost his own career. This prompted the media to put a lot of blame and shame on Britney, who really didn't deserve it. Now that fans in the media are revisiting Justin's actions, there are a number of people calling for accountability, and this could hurt his career. Because of all the drama that Britney faced this year, and combined with people digging into her past, the fact that Justin played a role in the media's mistreatment of the pop star may hurt his career and might make it harder to find work in the new year. At number 6, Jamie Lynn Spears. Another person whose career may be damaged after this drama with Britney Spears is her sister Jamie Lynn Spears, who got caught up in the scandal that was her sister's conservatorship case. There was a lot of family drama involved, as you could imagine, and instead of laying low, she stepped into the spotlight, and doing that attracted a lot of hate towards her. Many of Britney's fans criticized Jamie for not standing up for her sister and watching her suffer through the conservatorship for so long. Things took such a nasty turn for Jamie that it's damaged her relationship with Britney, and now with the massive amount of support that Britney had garnered over the last few months, an enemy of Britney is an enemy for everyone. Britney's fans are watching her sister like a hawk, waiting for one wrong move in order to cancel her, and this bad press probably wouldn't make Hollywood executives want to hire her over fears of bad publicity. At number 5, Chris Pratt. It seems like Chris Pratt is having a hard time in the media lately. Chris has been making headlines recently because people want him to be canceled. First, back in 2020, people were upset with the actor because he didn't publicly support Joe Biden, and a lot of people also took to criticizing his Christian faith. Now, someone's faith is no reason to hate someone, I will say, that is just absurd, but it still had a lot of people going off at him. On top of that, just recently, Chris faced backlash after he posted about his wife Katherine Schwarzenegger and how she gave him a gorgeous, healthy daughter, end quote. This had people running to his ex Anna Faris to support her because fans believed that Chris's comment was a dig at the fact that their son Jack was born premature and had to spend time in the NICU before being allowed to go home after he was born. People called Chris out for his choice of words, and they're using this as further fuel to use against the actor. I feel like with this tension bubbling up, 2022 might be the year that Chris Pratt actually gets canceled, and this might have a very big impact on his career. At number 4, Lea Michele. TV and Broadway actress Lea Michele was canceled in 2020 after a bunch of people came forward to expose her for her awful on-set behavior, and apparently she still remains canceled. Reports and accusations came out last summer detailing how she'd been known to disrespect people she's worked with in the past, and this all started at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, where one of Lea's former Glee co-stars, Samantha Ware, called Lea out on how the actress made her time on the show a quote, living hell. This ended up causing a chain reaction of other people coming forward to talk about their horror stories of working with the actress, with some revealing how she would disrespect and talk down to background actors on set, how she would delay production, and how she would refuse to talk to anyone face to face, and how she would even force them to speak with her assistant instead. Because of all this negative attention, Lea was canceled, and as I mentioned before, that cancel status still sticks. Lea hasn't been able to bounce back from that drama that went down last year, so 2022 might be another rough year for the actress's career. At number 3, Chris D'Elia. Another celebrity who might have a hard time finding work in 2022 is actor and comedian Chris D'Elia. The comedian remains canceled after he faced multiple allegations of misconduct and harassing girls online last year, and this whole scandal caused him to be essentially fired from Hollywood. After multiple women came forward to share their unpleasant experiences with the comedian, from unwanted advances to indecent exposure and gaslighting, Chris was caught and exposed for his actions, lost all support and credibility in the industry, and pretty much hit rock bottom. Though this scandal initially started last year, Chris is still facing more allegations in 2021, and a lawsuit was filed in early March accusing Chris of soliciting private photos from a young woman under the age of 18. Though this happened in 2014 when she was 17, she said that she was inspired by the other women who've come forward to tell her story and seek justice. Because he's been dropped by his talent agency and he's lost out on a Netflix special, it might be safe to say that he won't be working in Hollywood again anytime soon. At number 2, Ellen DeGeneres. Though many of us know Ellen DeGeneres as the famed talk show host, she is also an actress, having started her own comedy show as well as voicing Dory in Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. She certainly fits the criteria for this list, both for her work and for being canceled. Last year, Ellen was exposed for creating a toxic work environment on The Ellen Show, and she was the recipient of a lot of negative attention and backlash in 2020. Rumors started circulating about Ellen not being as nice as she's portrayed as on TV, and soon former employees started coming forward with their own horror stories about Ellen and the work environment that they had to deal with. There were allegations of racial microaggressions, discrimination, and harassment on the part of Ellen as well as other higher-ups in the company. For months, Ellen was being exposed for her toxic behavior, and she faced a lot of flack for it, having to issue multiple apologies to make up for things. Stars who had been on The Ellen Show in the past came forward to talk about their experiences with the comedian, and many interviews were being picked apart by people online, digging up moments that show Ellen in a negative light. Basically, Ellen got exposed to the max and she lost credibility, her show tanked, and now it's ending. And because of all this, no one knows what the future holds for Ellen. And finally, at number 1, Shia LaBeouf. From what we've seen in the news over the years and from what we've heard from other celebrities, I think it's safe to say that Shia LaBeouf isn't doing too great in Hollywood right now. There are a lot of people who are still fans of the actor, but after hearing about his questionable and sometimes downright disrespectful actions, idolizing Shia probably isn't the greatest thing. He is someone who's faced a lot of allegations as of late, Last year, Shia faced allegations from his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs after she filed a lawsuit against him detailing some of the encounters that she had with him. Twigs alleged that he threatened to crash a car with her in it if she didn't profess her love for him, and claimed that he would sometimes grab her so hard that she would bruise. Even singer Sia came forward with her own allegations against the actor, saying that she too had been emotionally damaged by Shia. On top of that, he was fired by Olivia Wilde from the upcoming film Don't Worry Darling, due to his alleged bad behavior, as people have cited that Shia is, quote, not an easy guy to work with. Because of all this bad press, I think it'll be tough for Shia to find work in Hollywood next year.
In at number 10, Katherine Heigl. Katherine Heigl was a rising star in Hollywood. She was on the hit show Grey's Anatomy, along with getting cast in tons of rom-coms like Knocked Up. But her career went downhill fast after 2 terrible interviews where she offended the very people that were getting her recognition in Hollywood. In one, she revealed she didn't think she deserved an Emmy for Grey's Anatomy because she didn't like her storyline. In another interview, she said the film Knocked Up was, quote, kind of sexist. These comments got her labeled as difficult and ungrateful. Recently, she's come back into the industry and managed to land some roles, but she's still desperately trying to get back in people's good graces. And at number 9, Stacey Dash. Stacey Dash was beloved in her role in the classic film Clueless, but after years as an actress, she got increasingly political and it completely derailed her acting career. She started being vocal on Twitter around 2015, once saying that transgender people should, quote, pee in the bushes instead of using public restrooms, and then she said that women that accuse men of taking advantage of them are just, quote, bad girls. Actress Gabrielle Union even once called her a crazy lady. Her support of conservative politics ended up landing her a spot on Fox News. However, she recently left the network and claimed that they had forced her to be a, quote, angry black woman, as well as taking back some of her more controversial statements. And at number 8, Elizabeth Berkley. Elizabeth Berkley burst into the spotlight, playing Jessie Spano in Saved by the Bell. But when the series was over, Berkley decided to play older and more mature roles to break out of the teenage character the public had known her for, and she was cast in the movie Showgirls. She thought the movie was going to be a hit, but instead it was an epic failure that got horrible reviews. Berkley took home Razzies for the Worst Actress and Worst New Star award. The film was even nominated for the Worst Picture of the Decade at one point. After this disaster, the industry turned their back on Berkley, and she was no longer considered a leading lady to movie studios. And at number 7, Remy Ma. At one point, Remy Ma was one of only 5 female rappers to ever top the charts, and was incredibly successful. But that all changed after she had some cash stolen out of her purse, and she assumed it was by a lady named Makeda Barnes Joseph, so Remy decided to shoot her. Apparently, while the ladies were fighting over the purse, Remy's gun went off, and the other woman was shot 2 times. Apparently, while the woman was on the ground bleeding, Remy took the purse and left. She ended up serving 6 years in jail, and when she came out, her career never recovered. And at number 6, Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner became a hero for LGBTQ people when she came out as trans in 2015, and brought trans issues into the forefront of the conversation. She continued sharing her journey on the show I Am Kate, but her good relationship with the trans community changed in 2016 when she revealed that she was a proud supporter of Ted Cruz and President Trump. Many people in the trans community found her opinions hypocritical, especially considering Ted Cruz is a vocal supporter of controversial anti-trans bathroom bills. Matters were made worse when Caitlyn did an interview on The Ellen Show and reluctantly revealed that she's okay with gay marriage, even then stating that she's very conservative in those beliefs. I Am Kate was cancelled after 2 seasons, and support for her in the trans community has dwindled. Halfway at number 5, Taylor Kitsch. Actor Taylor Kitsch was primed to become a hockey player, but at the age of 20 he was badly injured and had to find another path in life. This other path became acting, and after he decided that's what he wanted to do, he lived a hard life to make his dreams happen. He was even homeless at some points. He then landed the role as Tim Riggins in Friday Night Lights and quickly developed a loyal fan base. Then in 2012 he got the role of a lifetime, leading the John Carter adaptation. But it was a complete failure and lost the studio $200 million. After a similar failure months later with the movie Battleship, studios no longer wanted to take the risk on him as their leading man, and he stopped getting cast in lead roles. In at number 4, Chris Brown. Chris Brown was one of the hottest rappers in the game in the early 2010s, and after he started dating Rihanna, his fame exploded even further. But that all changed in 2009 when he physically Rihanna, leaving her face bloody and bruised. The domestic violence case led Brown's career to tank, as well as deals getting cancelled and his songs taken off of radio stations. He even had a request for a UK visa revoked because of this incident. His career and public image plummeted, but that was not the first time that he was in trouble with the law. A few years later, while in Times Square, Brown again lost control and threw an object at a window, causing property damage. He's also been involved in plenty of other domestic disputes as well as legal issues. Crazy enough, he still collaborates with tons of other artists, but the public will never forgive him. In at number 3, Oscar Pistorius. Oscar Pistorius became known around the world for participating in the Paralympics. The South African athlete was born missing the outside of both feet and both fibulae. Both of his feet were amputated when he was only 11 months old due to this, but he decided to become a sprinter and was an inspiration to many around the world. But that all changed on Valentine's Day in 2013 when Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. At first he claimed that he mistook her for an intruder and it was all an accident, but as time went on, it was revealed that it was a lie. After he was charged, many sponsors dropped Pistorius, including Nike. In 2016, he was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment for murder. And at number 2, John Travolta. John Travolta's career is a bit of a rocky one, but luckily for him, he's been in a few legendary movies that have made him a certified A-list actor. He became a household name from his role in Grease, but after that, he wasn't a part of anything really notable, until Pulp Fiction changed everything, and he proved he was able to carry an action-packed and mysterious role. But even with the insane success of Pulp Fiction and other movies shortly after, Travolta made a string of bad decisions that moved him to the bottom of the barrel in the acting world. The final nail in the coffin was Battlefield Earth, which was branded one of the worst movies ever made by The Guardian. The movie is so bad it has 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. Since then, Travolta's career has been officially sunk, and he's trying hard to redeem himself. And finally, at number 1, Tom Green. At one point, Tom Green was the hottest thing in comedy, and it was looking like he was the next big thing. He even got his own show on MTV simply called The Tom Green Show. At this point, everyone wanted Green to make a movie for their network, and 20th Century Fox was no exception. With that studio, Green made a movie called Freddie Got a comedy that was a horrific box office disappointment. After that disaster to fans and studios, Green has been unable to recapture the public's interest. Freddie Got has slowly entered cult status over the years, but is still considered a massive disappointment. And at number 10, Demi Moore. Demi Moore's career was taking off and she was on her way to becoming a well-respected actress, but that all changed when the film G.I. Jane was released and put her promising career on hold. She was even awarded a parody award for the worst actress for her role in that film. But Demi doesn't actually see it that way, and she revealed that G.I. Jane is one of her favorite movies, and she feels that it's very underrated. Demi said in one interview, quote, "It was that kind of criticism that really sent me to a space where I lost a little bit of passion and that maybe disheartened me." One of the studio execs even shared how much the film hurt her marketability in Hollywood, saying, quote, "People just don't want to see her. We would have to drag them kicking and screaming to see this movie." And at number 9, Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's career got a second wind when he landed the show 2.5 Men, and it became a smash hit. He had been known for his partying and wild ways that all played out in the media during his divorce with Denise Richards, but everyone seemed to forget about his questionable past when 2.5 Men started. But after some time being on top again, his career tanked once again because of substance. After the show's creator Chuck Lorre was growing tired of Charlie's substance issues, he decided to fire him. Sheen then had a meltdown where he screamed profanities at Lorre, including anti-Semitic remarks, which cemented Lorre's decision. Ashton Kutcher then replaced him, and after a few episodes, no one really cared that Charlie was gone. And at number 8, Thomas Gibson. Thomas Gibson was best known from Criminal Minds, and his career was really taking off. Until 2016 when he got into a fight with one of the show's co-executive producers and ended up kicking him. Gibson was temporarily suspended so the show could do an investigation, but after the investigation they realized it was the tip of the iceberg and his behavior on set was unacceptable, so he was prematurely kicked off the show. The official statement read, quote, "Thomas Gibson has been dismissed from Criminal Minds. Creative details for how the character's exit will be addressed in the show will be announced at a later date." Apparently the kick was the third strike after another on-set outburst, as well as a DUI, and his reputation never recovered. And at number 7, David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff was a household name until his daughter leaked an embarrassing tape of his, and the public never looked at him the same way since. In 2006, his daughter posted a video of Hasselhoff eating off the floor in a drunken stupor. And this was not the beginning of his misuse of drugs and alcohol, and his substance issues caused him to not only lose his career, but his family as well, unfortunately. After all the scandal surrounding Hasselhoff's name, Hollywood nor the public wanted to be associated with him, and his reputation tanked. He got sober in 2009 and tried to come back into the spotlight, but the damage was already done. In at number 6, Mark Salling. Mark Salling rose to fame on the hit show Glee, but his career and public opinion of him tanked in 2016 when it was revealed that he possessed illegal images featuring minors. After he was charged with various crimes related to this, he was promptly cut from the miniseries Adi Shankaraj's Gods and Secrets. The director revealed this on his Facebook page, writing, quote, "He has been cut from the miniseries. I will personally be paying for the reshoots, and I hope that Mark finds inner peace." After this was exposed, even more allegations of crimes came to light, and everyone was cutting ties with him. Salling pled guilty to the charges but took his own life before he was sentenced. Halfway at number 5, Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett was best known for his role in Empire at the time of his scandal, although he wasn't a household name. But his fame exploded to new heights when he alleged that 2 white men who were wearing MAGA hats attacked him, shouting racist and homophobic slurs. The whole world supported him and he became somewhat of a figurehead against racial hate, until it was revealed that it was all a lie, and he actually paid 2 men to attack him. After it was revealed that he faked everything, the city of Chicago sued him for filing a fake police report, as well as the cost of investigating the attack, for over $130,000. On February 11th of 2020, Smollett was indicted again by a Cook County grand jury on 6 counts pertaining to making 4 false police reports, and he was of course blacklisted from the industry. And at number 4, Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway was set to become Hollywood royalty with movies like Bonnie and Clyde and Chinatown under her belt. But it seemed that her head got too big for her cast and crew, and she quickly developed a reputation for being difficult, which is never a label you want to get in the industry before you're a bona fide A-list star. Then to make things worse, Bette Davis came out against her on Johnny Carson. When Carson asked who was the worst person in Hollywood, she replied, quote, "Faye Dunaway, and everybody you can put in this chair would tell you exactly the same thing." When asked to elaborate, she added, quote, "I don't think we have the time to go into all the reasons, she's just uncooperative." After this, her career was over. And at number 3, Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner made a name for himself as the lovable hunk in the Twilight series, and he was cast in a number of other movies at the time because of his star power. But there were fears that he was asking for way more money than he was worth, and when the big paychecks Hollywood paid him didn't result in box office success, he was quickly blacklisted. To make matters worse, he starred in a movie called Abduction that was rated so poorly that Lautner ended up leaving Hollywood after. And at number 2, Alex Pettyfer. Alex Pettyfer rose to fame as the hunk in the movie I Am Number 4 and Beastly, but since he rose to fame so fast, his arrogance got the best of him and he was branded difficult and disrespectful. An unnamed source who worked with Pettyfer on the set of I Am Number 4 told the publication, quote, "He was a nightmare and irrational. He had no body of work to remotely justify his behavior." But that's not all. He also did a horrible interview in 2011 where he basically offended all of Hollywood. In the interview, he basically trashed LA, calling it a shithole, and saying that the people that live there are all "see you next Tuesdays." Yeah, I can't say that word. Pettyfer did not reprise his central role in the 2015 Magic Mike sequel, Magic Mike XXL, and his work since is minimal. And finally, at number 1, Tom Cruise. Of course, Tom Cruise's career will never be fully ruined because he will always be considered an A-list actor. But over the years, he's made some serious dents in his reputation. The worst might be Cruise's interview with Matt Lauer, where his temper changes dramatically, showing the world that Cruise has a very short fuse. In the 2005 interview, Lauer asked Cruise about his comments criticizing Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants for her postpartum depression. Cruise kept going on that he doesn't agree with it, and when asked why, Cruise added, quote, "You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do," along with getting more combative as the conversation went on. That, in part with his sketchy divorce from Katie Holmes, made public opinion of him tank. And at number 9, Megan Fox. Megan Fox's career was destroyed after one bad interview. She was primed to be one of the biggest actresses ever, as the leading lady of the Transformers franchise. But in one interview, she completely trashed the film's director, Michael Bay, and was cut from the movie as a result. During a 2009 interview with Wonderland magazine, she was asked about working with Bay, to which she responded that he wants to be like Napoleon and wants to have an infamous madman reputation. But then she said in real life, he's actually incredibly awkward with no social social skills at all. Yikes. Steven Spielberg reportedly did not take kindly to her comments, and she was then kicked out of the third and fourth film. After that, her career completely diminished, and she only just started to get back into the spotlight in 2020. In at number 8, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was once the most respected golfer in the world, as well as being one of the highest paid athletes. But that all came to a halt when his professional image was shattered after it was exposed that he had cheated on his wife with countless women. It all came to a head in 2009 when he crashed his Escalade into a tree in his own front yard, with many claiming that his ex-wife kicking him out caused the crash. After he confessed to all the cheating, his image was ruined and all of his sponsors dropped him. After years of laying low, he came back strong, winning the 2019 Masters, although he is still tied to his party boy image. His career took another hit recently when he veered off a hill and his car rolled down the hill, causing many injuries that might even mean the end of his career. In at number 7, Kanye West. It's absolutely shocking that Kanye West still has a career despite all his scandals. Just some of his biggest scandals have been stealing the mic from Taylor Swift, being a public Trump supporter, and admitting his wife Kim almost terminated her pregnancy with North, along with starting feuds with most of the biggest rappers and singers. But even after all that and a failed presidential run, Kanye still has some of the most loyal fans ever. Some even think that his resiliency might just be in part to PR strategy, as Kanye only really seems to get into scandals when he has an album to promote. In at number 6, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey, of course, is one of the most talented singers ever, and even though she's gotten into some scandals for shading other celebrities in the past, the thing that really hurt her career was bad lip syncing. And in 2017, while she was performing live at the New Year's Eve show, millions watched as her performance became a complete train wreck. While she was performing the song Emotions, it seemed that her inner ear headphones stopped working and she froze, not really knowing what to do. After some terrible lip syncing, where it was clear her voice did not match up, she walked off stage mid-performance. After the fact, she claimed that she was set up by producers, but it was hard to believe and it looked like she was just too young to be performing. Halfway number 5, Ashley Simpson. This is one of those accidents that sadly ruined her career. While Ashley was on SNL to perform, her first song went off without an issue, but her second song caused an infamous moment that the internet will never forget. When the music started, the vocals for the track she sang before started to play, making it incredibly clear she was lip syncing. Nobody knew what to do, so her band just kept playing while she danced around the stage and did not sing a word. In the days that followed, the singer was attacked in the media for lip syncing, which is especially bad on an all-live show. After the incident, she tried to set the record straight and explain why she lip synced. She told MTV that she lost her voice because of acid reflux, and instead of canceling the appearance, she thought it was better for everyone if she just faked it. But her career did not recover after that. In at number 4, Ryan Lochte. Ryan Lochte is an Olympic swimmer, and he was known to the world as a heartthrob. He went into the 2012 London Olympics with $2.3 million worth of endorsements. He was even more famous coming into the 2016 Rio Olympics, so his sponsorship deals were presumably even more. But when he didn't deliver in the Olympic Games, it seemed he took his anger out in the form of a lie. The incident was called Lochte-gate, wherein he claimed that he and his teammates were robbed and their lives were threatened by some thugs in Rio. After many went out looking for the criminals, he was forced to reveal that he made the whole thing up. In the end, he lost several of his sponsorships, including Speedo and Ralph Lauren, as well as his reputation. He was also banned from swimming for 10 months. In at number 3, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is known for throwing it down in the ring, wrestling his opponents, and putting on a great show. But after an adult tape starring Hogan was leaked, his career was never the same. You'd think it was because of the scandalous nature of the tape, but it wasn't that at all. It was because on this intimate tape, you can hear Hogan saying the N-word multiple times. To make matters worse, many of these racist comments were directed at his daughter Brooke's boyfriend at the time, who is black. He even said on the tape that he would feel better about her dating a black man if he was some sort of basketball player worth millions of dollars. Hogan sued the website Gawker after the fact for leaking the video, and Hogan got a massive payout from the lawsuit because his career was essentially over after that leak. He not only was removed from all WWE events, but he was even taken out of their Hall of Fame. And at number 2, Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried has an unforgettable voice that has made him a household name. After starring in many roles in Hollywood, he made his money by being the voice of the Aflac Duck. Aflac is an insurance company, and the duck has been their mascot since 1999. But after he posted an insensitive tweet about a tsunami that killed thousands of people in Japan, he was promptly fired. The The tweet said, quote, "Japan is really advanced. They don't go to the beach comes to them." The tweet was made even worse by the fact that 75% of the business Affleck does is in Japan, and he offended their largest customer base. And finally, number 1, Miles Teller. Miles Teller burst onto the Hollywood scene in Damien Chazelle's 2014 directorial debut, Whiplash, which got plenty of critical acclaim. He even got a role in the Divergent series, which got him a lot more exposure. But his career really hit a snag because of a string of really bad interviews. In a 2014 interview with the New York Times, Teller said, quote, "I feel like a lot of actors of my generation are not proper actors. I want to break out of that whole group of actors in their early 20s and really start to put stuff down that lets you know I take this seriously." He even trashed John Cusack after a reporter compared the two of them. Teller said they are similar in some ways, but quote, "I don't want his career." In an interview later in 2015, he came off incredibly cocky. The author of the piece even wrote about Teller, quote, "So yeah, he's kind of a d." And at number 10, Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes' career was taking off and he was known for many roles. But his career was derailed not because of his acting or even anything he did in public, but instead because he didn't pay his taxes. You'd assume that he would just pay it back and it would be no big deal, but his tax evasion was so egregious that he was actually sentenced to jail for his crimes. He was found guilty of willfully not filing taxes for 3 years and got 1 year in prison for every year he didn't pay taxes. He was also forced to pay back $17 million to the government. This was what he owed in taxes, along with fines and penalties. His time in jail put his career on hold, and when he came out, no one wanted to hire him. And at number 9, Paz de la Huerta. This actress was going to be huge. Even when she wasn't that well known, she was being covered in the press for her outrageous antics. Like one time when she allegedly went into a sauna while covered in honey. While she was filming the show Boardwalk Empire, she developed a reputation for being a party girl, and this was basically the beginning of the end. TMZ got footage of her incredibly drunk after the Golden Globes. She even slipped and fell at one point. Then she was arrested for assault after she allegedly threw a glass at someone, then punched them in the face. Things got worse when reports came out that she was horrible on set and she would show up to set erratic and unprofessional. She was fired shortly after and her career did not recover from the hit. And at number 8, CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green gained prominence in the 2010s and he was actually a pretty big name in the industry. He even got some acting gigs as a result of his music success, and he started judging on The Voice. But it seems like his big mouth ended up getting him into trouble. In October of 2012, he was accused of SA, a form of assault, and he ended up getting sentenced to probation and community service. But the real issue happened when he spoke about it on Twitter days later. He basically argued that if someone passed out and someone else tries to take advantage of them, it's not violating them because they consented. Obviously, this makes no sense and is just incredibly disturbing. He said in part on Twitter, quote, "If someone is passed out, they're not even with you consciously, so with implies consent." After this, he was kicked off TV and he was even kicked from festivals that he planned to perform at. He's laid low ever since. And at number 7, Tonya Harding. Tonya Harding should be known as a figure skating legend who was the first American woman to land a triple axel in competition, but she's not. Instead, she's known as the vicious woman who harmed her competition in order to stay on top of the skating world. Her career was primed to reach new heights until someone hired a hitman to break Nancy Kerrigan's leg in hopes of giving Harding a better shot at the national championship. It didn't take long for people to suspect Tonya was behind it, and eventually word got out that her husband, Jeff Gillooly, and his friend were the masterminds behind this plan. Tonya claimed that she had no knowledge of the attack before it happened, but she did admit she learned of it after. She ended up pleading guilty as a conspirator to avoid jail time. She paid a $160,000 fine, was forced to withdraw from the 1994 World Figure Skating Championships, and was banned from figure skating for life. And at number 6, Robert Blake. Robert Blake had a career spanning decades, and he went from child stardom to respected adult actor. But everything changed in his personal and public life when his wife was killed in 2001. The details of the case were incredibly suspicious, and almost immediately Blake was a suspect. Bonnie Lee Bakley, his wife, was shot in his car, which was parked around the corner from a restaurant the couple was eating at that night. Apparently, he left his wife in the car while he went back into the restaurant to look for his quote missing gun, and when he came back, she was dead. There wasn't enough evidence to charge Blake with anything until 2 men came forward shortly after, claiming that Blake offered to pay them to kill his wife. 3 years after his arrest, Blake was acquitted, though a civil court claim later found him guilty of intentionally causing Bakley's death and ordered him to pay $30 million to her kids. But after this spectacle, his career was done. Halfway, number 5, Alan Carr. One terrible performance at the 1989 Oscars not only ruined Alan Carr's career, but also a budding actress by the name of Eileen Bowman. Producer Alan Carr was left in charge of the Oscars, and his worst mistake was opening the show with a performance performance from Snow White, starring Eileen Bowman, that was a complete disaster. Firstly, it made no sense and it was very eccentric, and then Rob Lowe joined later to make the whole thing even cringier. The Hollywood Reporter called the number a nightmare, while the New York Times said it had earned a permanent place as the worst Oscar embarrassments. The worst treatment probably went to Bowman, who fled the city and went home to San Diego within hours of the performance. She wasn't able to return, and it's still dubbed as one of Alan Carr's worst decisions. In at number 4, Rebecca Gayheart. Rebecca Gayheart was best known for her roles in 90210 as well as Jawbreaker, and her career looked like it was going to continue to be great until 2001, when she hit and killed a who was crossing the street. It was actually her negligence that led to the death, because other cars around them had stopped for the boy before Gayheart failed to stop and hit him. She settled a wrongful death lawsuit with the boy's family, but the damage to her career was done, and nobody wants to work with someone who was convicted of such a terrible crime. Since then, she's been demoted to small guest starring roles. And at number 3, the Dixie Chicks. The Dixie Chicks are known as a legendary country group, and the ladies enjoyed chart-topping success while they were on top. But a wrong political move kicked the women off their pedestal. The lead singer Natalie Maines bashed President George W. Bush during a live concert in 2002. She said, quote, "Just so you know, we're on the good side with y'all. We do not want this war, this violence, and we're ashamed that the President of the United States is from Texas." But bashing the president was not as well accepted as it is now, and the women were promptly met with outrage. Country music genre completely blacklisted them, and their music was even boycotted by a number of radio stations in the aftermath. They tried to come back, but it didn't work. And at number 2, Jennifer Grey. Jennifer Grey was huge in the 80s, starring in movies like Dirty Dancing and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She was particularly known for her unique nose that was unlike the typical noses in Hollywood and really made her stand out. But while her career was taking off, she decided to get a nose job in 1989, assuming that it would help her get more roles. But the issue with this is that when she looked like everyone else, she wasn't unique anymore, and sadly her career shrank alongside her nose. Her nose job was minor, but because her nose was so distinct before, it made her completely unrecognizable. She said about the regrettable procedure, quote, "I went into the operating room a celebrity and came out anonymous." And because nobody recognized her, she stopped landing roles and her career faded fast. And finally at number 1, Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez was primed to be a football star. He was rising up the ranks in football incredibly fast and even signed a $41 million contract with the New England Patriots. But everything in his life changed when he was accused of killing a man. He ended up being found guilty of this murder and sentenced to life in prison. While in prison, he had apparently been linked to other deaths, and it's widely believed that he's killed 4 people. But the story with Aaron got even more tragic because he took his own life while in prison in 2017. Many believe this happened because of the shame the entire debacle caused him and his family. And at number 10, Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser was a huge movie star in the early 2010s, being known for box office hits like The Mummy and Journey to the Center of the Earth. But out of nowhere, he just stopped being cast in things, and his name started to follow the question, whatever happened to that guy? It seems his entire career changed course when he decided to turn down the lead role in the sequel to Journey of the Center of the Earth called Journey to the Mysterious Island. The role went to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson instead, and that movie was even bigger than the first. He not only decided to decline that role, but he also accepted roles in 2 other movies that flopped. After this, his career took a sharp decline, and he was not able to recover from it. However, he is now starring in a movie that will be released soon, and fans are calling it the Renaissance. And at number 9, Michael Richards. The legendary Seinfeld actor got serious backlash after he started calling a member of his audience racial slurs because this person was heckling him during a stand-up routine. This went down in 2006, and in response to the heckling, Richards decided to call him the N-word along with other slurs, and demanding that the African-American customer be thrown out of the club. The backlash was so harsh that he decided to leave the stage before his routine was even over. In 2006, Michaels tried to revitalize his image by apologizing for the comments on The Late Show with David Letterman. However, it seems the apology was not taken well because his career took a nosedive after that appearance. Since this incident, Richards has only appeared in 2 roles, one on Curb Your Enthusiasm and another on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And at number 8, Tila Tequila Nugent. Tila Tequila got her fame from MySpace, and at one point she was the most well-known person on the platform. Since she was an internet celebrity, MTV decided to give her a dating show called A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila in 2007, and she was even cast in a Hollywood movie as well. But her career came to a screeching halt when she decided to post an article to her website describing why she sympathized with who was of course the German leader during the Second World War. In the piece, she claimed he was, quote, not a bad person as they made him out to be. She even posted photos of herself in his memorabilia. Tequila attempted to get her career back on track in 2015 when she appeared as a housemate on the UK Celebrity Big Brother, but she was kicked out once people learned of her past. And at number 7, Brian Williams. Brian Williams was one of the top news anchors ever, filling the coveted nightly news spot on NBC. He was even so well respected that he was frequently a guest on Saturday Night Live and 30 Rock. But that all changed when it was exposed that Williams was a liar. The lie first started back in 2003, and he basically claimed that he was riding in a military helicopter that was forced to the ground while flying over Iraq. The plane was hit by an RPG and almost crashed. He kept repeating the story over and over for years after, even mentioning it on The Late Show with David Letterman in 2013. But when the world found out this whole story was a lie, everyone was shocked and felt that they couldn't trust him again. He ended up getting a 6-month unpaid suspension from NBC, and his career took a huge hit. He never came back to his role and was demoted to a smaller network after. And at number 6, Paul Reubens. Paul Reubens was known to the world as the lovable character of Pee Wee Herman that was huge in the 1980s. The children's show even won an Emmy, enhancing his celebrity status even further. But things all went south in 1991 when it was revealed that he was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult movie theater. Because of this, Pee Wee toys were pulled from shelves across the nation, and he was out of the spotlight for the rest of the 90s. He tried to make a comeback years later, but that was halted when even more charges of a sexual nature were brought against him. After this, his public reputation hit new lows, and nobody wanted to be associated with him. But he did come back once again in 2016 to play Pee Wee Herman in the Netflix film Pee Wee's Big Holiday. Surprisingly, it had a good reaction, I assume because people forgot about his past. Halfway number 5, Rob Lowe. So crazy enough, the person that we talked about last, Paul Reubens, is actually connected to Rob Lowe's scandal. Rob Lowe was a prominent actor in the 80s. However, when Reubens was being busted by the cops, they discovered an adult tape starring Rob Lowe. After this, his career took a huge hit. Lowe did not end up facing any legal repercussions because the age of consent is 16 in Georgia, but his public reputation did not recover. He even lost a role in the Titanic because of all the scandals. But over the years, he was able to get back into the spotlight and was cast in movies like Wayne's World, Tommy Boy, and Parks and Rec. And at number 4, Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes was one of the biggest stars in the 2000s, starring in the hit show The Amanda Show, along with movies like She's the Man and What a Girl Wants. But sadly, like a lot of other child stars, she struggled to deal with the fame and derailed her career with substance abuse. This caused her to have a complete Twitter meltdown after she was arrested, tweeting all sorts of disturbing things. In her 2012 tweet storm, she told Drake that she wanted to sleep with him in much more colorful language. She also tweeted Rihanna telling her that, quote, Chris Brown beat you because you're not pretty enough. She ended the night by lighting a driveway on fire. Because of all this, she was put in a psychiatric facility and her career was put on hold. She has not come back to the spotlight since. And at number 3, Jared Fogle. Jared Fogle became a bona fide celebrity after he became the face of Subway sandwiches and promoted the sandwiches as a tool for his weight loss. His celebrity status even got him roles in movies and spots on late night shows. But this all came to a screeching halt when it was exposed that he had participated in indecent conduct with along with having illegal images. Fogle had been on the FBI's radar since 2007, and they finally arrested him in 2015. He got 15 years in prison, his wife divorced him, and Subway cut all ties with him. But unfortunately, his connection to Subway was too strong for the public to ignore, and the company's reputation took a huge hit because of the scandal. And at number 2, Paula Deen. Paula Deen was once one of America's favorite celebrity chefs, making good southern food for television. She was even cast on shows like Top Chef, Master Chef, Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and a role in an actual movie called Elizabethtown. But in 2012, her empire was destroyed after it was exposed that she regularly said the N-word. Deen was even sued by the general manager of one of her restaurants, as they claimed that Deen would frequently use the N-word in the workplace. In testimony during the trial, the manager's lawyer asked Deen if she had ever used the N-word before, and she replied, quote, "Yes, of course." After these statements, she was cut from the Food Network, and it seems that she doesn't even really care. She tweeted a photo of her son in blackface only years later. And finally, at number 1, Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin is no stranger to controversy. It's partly what's made her famous. However, she took one joke way too far and it ended up costing her her career. In May of 2017, Griffin posted a picture of herself holding a decapitated Donald Trump mannequin head. She did this stunt in an attempt to mock Trump, but it kinda sorta looked like a potential threat against the president's life, which is not tolerated in the media. The FBI even investigated her over the picture. Griffin apologized, saying in a statement, quote, "I don't think I'm going to have a career after this, I'm going to be honest, Trump broke me." But months later, she actually retracted her apology and decided the backlash against her was too much. As a result, she was banned from CNN and her stand-up shows were cancelled.
Number 10. Will Smith and Margot Robbie. In 2013, Star magazine published a bombshell allegation that Will Smith was caught cheating with his co-star Margot Robbie when they worked together on the movie Focus. The report actually claimed that in photo booth pictures that they found and published on their cover, Will appeared to be shirtless and Margot lifted up her own shirt to reveal her lingerie. The magazine also claimed that after they pulled the curtain back to take the pictures, they were getting very touchy-feely with each other in the dark. The scandal was massive at the time because Will is married to Jada Pinkett Smith, and back then they had yet to admit to having an open relationship. But the rumors soon died down as E! News revealed that the pictures were commissioned by production and that the entire cast and crew saw them being taken. It also came out that Will and Margot are absolutely just friends and there was nothing else going on between them. Even Margot was quick to deny everything on Twitter, quote, "There's absolutely no truth to the ridiculous rumor. It's disappointing that goofing around on set could be taken so out of context." Well, people do tend to jump to conclusions. Number 9. Dominic West and Lily James. The actors were at the height of scandal when they were photographed getting cozy in Rome, all while filming their new series of Pursuit of Love in 2020. The pictures show the stars kissing, sitting at a cafe, standing on the Spanish steps, and riding tandem on a scooter looking very much to be on a date. Although Lily was single at the time, Dominic has been married to Catherine Fitzgerald for 10 years and they have 4 children together. A source told The Sun that when Catherine saw the pictures, she was devastated and tried to get a hold of her husband, but he wasn't answering his phone. She was reportedly shocked by the whole thing because she didn't realize anything was going on. But only a few days later, there was a photo taken out the front of the couple's home with a note saying, "Our marriage is strong and we're very much still together. Thank you." Since the incident, James has kept quiet and cancelled various interviews to promote her latest film, Rebecca, which is probably a good decision considering the fact that both parties have not yet publicly talked about their affair since it occurred. Number 8. Chad Michael Murray and Paris Hilton. In 2003, Chad Michael Murray and Sophia Bush fell in love while filming the TV series One Tree Hill. 2 years later, they were married. However, they separated just 5 months later when rumors swirled that Chad had cheated on his wife with Paris Hilton, his co-star on the film House of Wax. During the time he and Paris both worked on the horror film together, they reportedly had an affair, according to Backstreet Boy Nick Carter, who was dating Paris at the time. But after separating, Chad and Sophia still had to keep working together for another 3 years on One Tree Hill. If that's not awkward, I don't know what is. It wasn't until 2011 that the actor decided to rethink the way in which he was living his whole life. Quote, "When you're young and you're thrown into something that I was definitely not ready for, I'm human and I screw up." But his ex-wife definitely took the whole affair much harder, and it's clear that his actions really affected her in the long term. In 2017, she wrote in Cosmopolitan that the scandal was a massive event in her life and the trauma of it was amplified by how public it became. She has also said that she feels the marriage was a joke and it did nothing but reduce her to a Hollywood statistic. Ouch. Number 7. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they suddenly announced their divorce in 2005. What happened exactly? Well, long story short is, Brad met Angelina for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and the rest is history. Apparently the movie was filled with so much romantic tension, it was impossible for the two stars not to fall for each other. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is probably the sexiest spy movie to ever exist, so it's easy to see how everything went down. But the problem was that Brad was still married to Jen. But he didn't let that stop him and they allegedly still got together despite his marriage. To add insult to injury, he said about his marriage to Jen, quote, "I was trying to pretend the marriage was something that it wasn't. I'm satisfied with making true choices and finding the woman I love, Angie, and building a family that I love so much." That sounds pretty harsh, but it turned out that Brad and Angelina's relationship wasn't just a fling, and they actually went on to date for many years and had a large family before finally getting married in 2014. The love triangle was one of the biggest celebrity scandals of the early 2000s and it still dominates the tabloids to this day. Number 6. Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. The actress and writer Carrie Fisher was never one to hold back when she had something to say, and in 2016 she shared a fascinating piece of history in her own memoir called The Princess Princess Diarist. According to Carrie, she had a brief but very intense affair with her Star Wars co-star Harrison Ford while they were filming the movie in 1976. But what's really quite troubling is that People magazine reported that she was just 19 years old when the 3-month affair took place, while Harrison was 36 years old and married to his wife of 15 years, Mary Marquardt. To make matters worse, the couple also shared 2 kids together. In terms of sneaking around, Carrie actually said, quote, "It was Han and Leia during the week and Carrie and Harrison during the weekend." She also explained to The Guardian that the affair between them had eventually come down to unreciprocated love. She said that she'll always feel something for him. The Star Wars actress was so young at the time that they got together, and although she must have known it was wrong, it's hard to say that the blame rests completely on her. What's even sadder is that after Carrie died in 2016, Harrison never fully confessed to the affair, probably more out of shame for cheating on his wife. Number 5. Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. The co-stars brought their on-screen romance into the real world after working together on the FX series Fargo. The pair appeared on season 3 of the anthology crime drama, which debuted in April of 2017. Only a month later, the actress announced on social media that she had split from her husband of 7 years, Riley Stearns. Following her separation, Winstead was spotted on a date, hooking up with McGregor in London, and cheating rumors were flying because although she was single, he was very much not. The train-spotting actor was still married to Eve Mavrakis at the time, with whom he shares 4 children. After the Emmy winner was spotted getting cozy with Winstead, fans began to wonder about the status of his marriage, but it wasn't until January of 2018 that his now ex-wife filed for divorce. But while the two managed to keep their romance relatively private, their relationship raised eyebrows even among their family members. In fact, in August of 2018, McGregor's daughter Clara had some strong feelings on the new relationship at the time. She took to Instagram to comment on a Mary Elizabeth Winstead fan page, quote, "Most beautiful and talented woman on earth? Oh man, y'all are delusional. This girl is a piece of trash." Wow. Number 4. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. Cruise met Nicole Kidman on the set of the movie Days of Thunder, and the pair were instantly smitten with one another, and they soon started engaging in a torrid love affair. But at the time of meeting, you guessed it, the Top Gun actor was still married to Mimi Rogers, whom he wed in 1987. As it became clear that the affair was more than just a simple fling, Tom divorced his first wife in February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole in December of 1990. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "It took me a very long time to heal. It was a shock to my system. We were in a bubble, just the 2 of us. We became very dependent on one another." Number 3. Billy Crudup and Claire Danes. The massive scandal started in late 2003. Billy and his girlfriend of 8 years, Mary Louise Parker, who at the time was about 7 months pregnant with his son, broke up. The New York Post reported that the actor had moved on with his stage beauty co-star Claire Danes, who was only 24 at the time. In the summer of that year, the former co-stars had been spotted getting cozy all over New York City, and even had a very cute looking courtside date filled with PDA. But Billy wasn't the only cheater in that situation, as Claire also ended up breaking the heart of her longtime boyfriend Ben Lee to be with the actor. Their love affair didn't last long, however, and it's clear that all the heartbreak wasn't even worth it, because they ended up splitting up just 3 years later. Naturally, the ultra-private couple didn't discuss the reason behind their breakup, but the tabloids were happy to do so for them. Several magazines even claimed that Danes had left Billy for Hugh Dancy, but we'll never really know what happened. Years later, Claire said, quote, "I was just in love with him and needed to explore that. I was 24, I didn't quite know what those consequences would be." Number 2. Morena Baccarin and Ben McKenzie. The Homeland actress furiously denied rumors that she had been cheating on her husband at the time, Austin Chick. But when she got pregnant by her Gotham co-star Ben McKenzie, there was very little she could do to cover it up. And just like that, the cheating rumors were confirmed. Although the actress tried to shut down the allegations, according to a TMZ report, the divorce papers filed in 2015 by Austin show that he claimed that he was still sharing a bed with Morena when she conceived Mackenzie's baby. She did get a happy ending though, and eventually gave birth to Mackenzie's daughter Frances in March of 2016, just 2 weeks before her divorce from Austin was finalized, and went on to marry Mackenzie in June the following year. But did she at least feel a little bad for sleeping with her co-star while she was married? Well, not really. In fact, she told People magazine that working with him on Gotham was wonderful. Quote, "Ben's the sweetest. It's very nice to work with your significant other, especially when you're pregnant, because you know you'll get some extra TLC and get taken care of." I mean, yeah, I guess that sounds nice if you can ignore the question of how they met. Number 1. John Malkovich and Michelle Pfeiffer. The legendary actor John Malkovich caused intense scandal both on and off the screen when it came to filming 1998's Dangerous Liaisons with his co-star Michelle Pfeiffer. At the time, the actor had been married to actress Glenn Headley for 6 years, but that completely fell apart in the midst of his affair with Michelle. Interestingly enough, even the film's director, Stephen Frears, said, quote, "Dangerous Liaisons is about betrayal and lies and relationships unraveling. It was one of those times where reality and art intersect. It was overwhelming to John. Even for a man who delights in bad behavior, that was a difficult time." Not to mention the fact that John's older brother, Danny, told Entertainment Weekly in 1993 that when the actor came home with Michelle, that was the happiest that he had ever seen him. But even though John and his ex-wife got divorced in 1988, the affair didn't last long either, and they reportedly broke up not long after. But apparently Malkovich took the breakup very hard and reportedly cried for a whole year. The two of them must have really had something special, because he told The Guardian in 2008, quote, "It's hard to believe Michelle Pfeiffer ever said hello to me." I mean, if you can forget about the fact that he cheated on his wife, it's still romantic the way he talks about Michelle.